Hello, and welcome back to our Dungeons and Dragons game. We are excited to have you guys here, however you stumbled across us, and hope you all enjoy tonight. We are continuing our new and ongoing campaign where we kind of play the same story every week. We're going to go ahead and get started on episode 8 here. If I think Ian owes us a recap because of missing for wildly unimportant things.
You know, like work.
Yeah.
Wildly
unimportant.
So unimportant.
Y'all could fucking fight me. Anyway, last time we joined our intrepid adventurers, they finally made their way to the base of Savannah Mountains, where they made camp. Somewhat uneventful evening, though Sam did smell rot on the wind. Next day, they started to make their way up the mountain, where they encountered I think it's an elder tree is what it's referred to as. Ancient elvish tree of significance that Riona gushed over and attempted to sing at, but then realized she didn't speak Sylvan, so she couldn't really sing at it. After much confusion and getting her brother to translate, they talked to the tree, who was basically like, I'm a fucking tree, dude. Don't know all this shit. It's just a fucking mountain. When asked about, what's up with this mountain, deciding that, they should have made this whole interaction worth something, they decided to make their paladin pledges at the base of this tree, which really seems something like you would do for Coralon, but, who am I to judge? A lot of shade in this catch-up. Making their way further up the mountain, they started encountering suspiciously cold weather for what is summer for this area, and it didn't seem natural to the elevation. Eventually coming upon a wrecked caravan, I believe it was, with many dead people, with signs of a Wendigo attack. The group decided to continue on, not investigating the caravan, and started seeing strange happenings, paranoid delusions falling over various party members, and freaking them all out, all except Raknul, who seemed to be getting like half chub from all this blood. Eventually, they happen upon one of the survivors, they assume, from the attack, and begging for help. They all fail their wisdom saves and immediately become charmed by this obvious bait, and a battle with the Wendigo ensues, and they survive. But not before Raknul had almost basically eviscerated this poor innocent person. And that's where we are.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Shed it all around a bologna sandwich.
Chapter 8. As you all kind of recover from the tense moments that you just escaped from, the corpse of the Wendigo is still scarred or still scorched on the ground beside you. The wind seems to kind of break. There had been this subtle but constant kind of cold breeze, not frigid by any means, nothing that would clear the fog, but for the wind kind of just stops, and then you feel it shift, reversing in the opposite direction, and this time it kind of builds speed and it brings in warmth. Almost instantaneously, the fog begins to lift. It's still quite thick, but it is now you can now see freely. It's just kind of a haze along the horizon.
I am going to look over the manticles that are holding the woman down. Actually, I don't know they're manticles because nobody said that yet, so I'm going to look at the rope.
As you go and look, she's manticled to the ground.
Is there anything securing the manticles to the ground that we could just take out?
Yes, it looks like the manticles are done through basically a large stake that has been driven to the ground.
All right, well, I'll try and pull that up.
I'll give it a yank.
And you see that she does kind of recoil when you approach, but does not, she seems ready to go at you, but not aggressive in the moment.
Okay.
I'm still full health if she wants round 2.
I would like to walk over to the kind lady and give her some glorious healing. A little lay on. We'll lay on hands. I'll go ahead and use.
Your foot kind of crunches in the snow that is thin here but still present, and she kind of flinches out of instinct, but then kind of seeing your
Calm
face,
down, miss.
watching this positive intent,
I
she'll
won't hurt you. Calm down, miss. I promise I won't. I will not hurt you. And yeah, I'm gonna heal her. I'll just go ahead and use the max. Screw it. I think it's 15.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeez. I already got 11.
Are you attempting to pick the locks on these manacles, or physically just pull the stake out of the ground?
I'm literally trying to rip the
just-
stake out.
Right. Go ahead and give me a strength check.
Just strength or athletics?
Strength.
Okay. With my 23.
Yeah, you're able to quite easily pull this long, kind of hooked stake that is jutted in the ground. It looks like this is the sort of thing that might be used in some degree of climbing, but it looks pretty heavy duty for like an individual. You're not sure what the actual purpose of the stake was, but it was pretty deep and pretty well set. But as you kind of pull it out, her legs are still bound together because it's like two manacles in a chain connecting them, but she can move.
I don't suppose anybody can pick a lock.
Not one of my. That's definitely not a skill I'm overly familiar with.
They didn't exactly
You can
encourage
find my
that
partner.
personage.
And she kind of speaks quietly. You can find them on my partner.
Where is
The key.
Bridge.
The bridge.
Sarah's
All
gonna
right.
go over and find her partner.
And you do see a body beside the bridge as you approach. It's not obscured or hidden in any way. It's just kind of tossed along the bank. It's like he's been wrung through with a sword.
Rung through with a sword.
Mhm.
Like this doesn't look like a Wendigo wound.
It does not.
Okay. She'll rummage through his body and pockets and see what all she finds.
All right, go ahead and give me an investigation check. And try and hold me to this because I'm trying to standardize it with, there's different checks and different people have different opinions on what those checks should be used for. I'm trying to standardize that if you're searching like a single chest or you're searching a single individual, we're going to use investigation. However, if you're searching like the contents of a room for loot, then that would be perception. If you're sorting through loot, that's always going to be investigation. And if you're trying to find something that's hidden, like, masked by something, then that would always be perception. But you find he seems to be he's wearing pretty standard fare for a scout. He's wearing leather armor. He has a bow. He has a small short sword. Beyond that, there's nothing really special. You find like a couple gold pieces and probably 10 silver. It was all he would really keep on his own person.
Okay, I will take those. You say two gold and 10 silver.
Mm-hmm. And you do find a key.
I will take the key.
A set of keys, actually, but you imagine one of them is the one you see.
I'm going to ask the woman, what were you doing out here besides freezing to death?
The last of our company had fallen behind. We had gone out to find them, and I don't know what came over him, but a couple hours ago, he just kind of got she's just staring off in the direction of the bridge. There was a madness. He's the one who bound me in the manacles, but I stabbed him and fled. And that's when it showed itself.
That would explain the not Wendigo wounds.
And as you look at her, she does have a number of like more bestial scars.
I think that thing made a habit out of, or a hunting method out of making people go one over the cuckoo's nest, if you would.
What was it?
Is a Wendigo?
Yes.
And it's dead?
I would hope so.
Hearing that it's
Oh,
dead,
yes.
Corpse, as she asked.
Oh yes, it's quite finished.
Yeah, we
Unf-
did a number on it.
Unfortunately, I believe if you're
Probably,
looking
yeah.
for the rest of your companions, their fates are not as fortunate as your own in this particular instance.
And their commander.
I doubt we know any details about who specifically, but
We saw a caravan busted down and we fucking booked it.
We saw a caravan, and from what we saw, there were no survivors.
And she kind of runs her fingers through her hair. How far? Where?
And she's gonna point back along the path. It's back that way. I'd say maybe about
half day.
well, it's not half.
Not a half day, but it's down the mountain a good bit.
I mean, it
It
was
was
a
close
couple
to half a
hours.
day.
It was at least a few
It
hours.
was a couple of hours of travel.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was not an insignificant amount of time.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well,
It wasn't half a day. God, it was half a day though.
I would warn you, this thing doesn't leave pleasant remains.
and she nods. Well, whatever remains, I must seek out. I thank you all for. And she kind of like glances quickly to Raknul, but to. I'm sorry. And she kind of looks at Morgan. I'm sorry for that.
Oh, don't worry about it. I thought you were like trying to kill us, so I'm glad you're not, like, to be totally honest, first instinct, I was gonna just blow you up, but I fought against that.
Oh,
So
You can blow. Can you just blow stuff up?
I look Elrich directly in the eyes and I just smile, but I don't say anything.
anyway, there's no shame in being influenced by the creature, as it appears many have succumbed to its abilities. And I give a glance at Raknul, and I look back.
Just licking the blood off his hands.
The only important thing we have.
No, Jimmy,
now
no,
is to be thankful for
Jimmy.
the lives we
It doesn't feel good when it's in
still
my
have.
stomach. It feels good when my hands are covered in it. You don't understand.
it's a different thing.
Come on.
Like, I'm not
I
going
do
to.
not.
I'm not ruining this experience for you.
Ragnall's just
Oh.
sitting there like, treat yourself.
And as she somewhat recovers more mentally, you can see she kind of goes over to the bridge and she sees where the partner is slain, and nearby she sees a pack that she kind of takes and starts to kind of rummage through, and you imagine it must be her belongings.
You're welcome to come with us. I mean,
Well, I have a mission, and I have a personal investment in it. Whether what you say is true or not, or I need to see it with my own eyes.
Are you going back to?
Will you be camping here tonight?
I mean,
Probably
What
yes.
time of day is it?
Here, yeah.
It's hard to tell what time of day it is because the sun is not visible. It has gone behind the mountains on the western side.
Yeah. I'd say probably. I'm sure everyone's exhausted.
You would imagine that you're pretty near your days and the end of your day's travel, so to speak.
I'm kind of ready for a nap.
I think some sleep would be so good.
Some of us
If
are
if you'll-
literally exhausted.
If you'll stay with us for the night, perhaps we can take care of a burial for your friend, unless you plan to return him home.
And she seems to be kind of weighing things in her mind. All right. I suppose I wouldn't arrive in time to show any dignity to the corpses that were left.
Not to be rude, but no.
By the time you reached where they are, you'd be under cover of darkness.
Our
Regardless.
company is only maybe 3-4 hours ahead. They would, I doubt they would break camp without hearing word from us. Perhaps I will camp with you tonight, and we'll join with them on the morrow, and they can provide wagons, and we can go back.
Okay.
Sure.
If you say there was no survivors.
To be fair, we didn't really check.
We did check.
Oh, we did? I thought we booked it.
We booked
We
it
checked
out.
as much as we could.
We didn't find any
Right.
living bodies, and then we left. We didn't
I got
search
a bit
around for more.
better look at the area than I think some of the others, and I saw an appropriate amount of corpses, and this isn't a creature that leaves survivors.
Look, we cannot be 100%. There's no survivors.
Will,
but-
can you make a persuasion check for me?
An appropriate amount.
As opposed to an inappropriate amount.
Only 6 out of 7 killed? Lewd.
Hey,
That's pretty good.
it's not terrible.
Okay.
She seems to be kind of nod along with what you're saying as you say that. I imagine it's not.
If you would like to get to the rest of your group tonight, and the way I could help get you there by the end of a fair bit quicker.
How?
I don't know how much of that fight you saw, but I can provide a horse, exactly one, to get you to your camp.
She just kind of glance around. I think it's for the best I show respect to the man I killed for reaching those I didn't save.
Fair enough.
Right. Well, Elrich, please start digging a hole.
Oh yes, do that thing you like.
Not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but why?
Well, I mean, we've got to throw the body somewhere.
Oh yes, that guy. I thought we were talking about for us. This is. I guess you could use a dirt hole for this.
I guess we could waste a dirt hole on a dead person, but like, so luxurious.
Elric makes a dirt hole.
If we could please.
Since the fight, Elric's been like jittery, just like oddly hyper. As he makes the dirt hole.
Okay.
he digging or is he casting?
Casting.
Okay.
Digging, he could dig if he needs to burn off some energy.
Liam, would you help me, I guess, prepare the body?
Of course.
And I'll start
Liam, I don't know. I don't know if the tree had something to do with this. Can you do that as well? You had wings.
Yeah, what the hell, Liam? You weren't going to tell me about that? Do you know how many times we could have gotten out of trouble?
Is this really the time to have this conversation?
Yes.
Morgan says as he's picking up the legs of the corpse.
And she would immediately jump to like she would not allow anything like that to happen without assisting.
To be perfectly honest, I don't really know what that was all about. It's never happened before.
Please explain how you summoned them.
I don't know. I felt very frustrated, and I got a little angry at the creature, and I wanted to charge at it as fast as possible. And then it just happened.
Elrich's going to try to get angry and make wings.
Make a wisdom check for him.
Who's making a wisdom check?
Elrich, I think.
Elrich.
What is this for?
Well, that's really cool.
No.
My brother.
You concentrate, and with a lot of what you've seen, you try and summon anger, but anger is not the emotion I think that would come to Elric's mind right now.
Probably fear.
I mean, he killed what he's afraid of.
Big coward energy
There's
right
so
now.
many things he's afraid of, though.
That's fair.
Well, we'll see if this is a reoccurring thing. I don't think I could do it again right at this moment, but perhaps I'll try again in the future.
Well, it's really cool.
It definitely helped.
Yeah.
At least I thought so.
Oh, and I'm keeping those manacles.
Okay.
Okay.
She wouldn't have said that out loud. This is
I would say that
telling Chris.
she would not really try and stop you or anything. So
Well, I'm just. This is Reid telling Chris I'm keeping.
Can I roll a
them.
perception check to see if I noticed that her?
Sorry, you're trying to do it stealthily. All right, go ahead and make a we'll say sleight of hand or stealth, your choice. Sleight of hand to do it to just get away with it at any point in time, and stealth to find a moment when you are not being watched to get away with it.
To do both or do one?
One or the other. Or not and.
Okay.
Oh, there's no way. I'm not beating that.
I would say that nobody would know to look, therefore nobody looks.
So higher than passive perception.
Out of curiosity, Chris, what kind of armor is the stiff wearing?
The dead person?
Leather.
Yeah. Yep.
You want to
Leather? Well, then that's useless to me.
He's not using it anymore.
Toss him
been kind of used.
I'm gonna go up to the woman. Do you know? Did he have any religious preferences or?
Plor.
Well, he's in luck.
Lucky day.
We got two.
Almost the entire time she's been speaking with you guys, her eyes since you guys picked him up and moved him over there and put him into the dirt hole. She has been just kind of staring down into it. Yeah.
You got two, I'll say, B tier soldiers from a poor orphanage over here with you today. So
what?
Oh, sorry. A little bit of we've got two people that were raised by an order of Pelor here. So
I'm gonna walk over and help her out of the dirt pit.
I don't think she's in the dirt pit.
Standing in the grave.
We'll proceed to bury the body and I guess create some sort of makeshift
Ceremony.
headstone, and then I'll light some incense and give a prayer.
Let's see.
Oh man.
Oh, well, I don't have it prepared, so I can't do it. Okay. Well, never
All
mind.
right. Did you want to do something with that, or did you want to just cover it like that?
I mean,
You don't need to. We can say that. Go ahead and make a performance check.
okay.
Can I assist?
Yep.
That's a 22.
Oh, God, I don't help him at all.
Very respectfully and quietly, you say a traditional prayer, and it's a quiet, somber moment as the sky begins to darken. You've been in shadow for like an hour and a half now, a couple hours even, since the sun passed, but it's only just now really you can see up, and the sky is beginning to change from pale blue to a myriad of colors. And as is somewhat traditional with Pelor, often burials are aimed at either sunset or sundown. Most commonly, burials are aimed for sunset. And you imagine that you hit it pretty close.
Lovely.
So who are you all? And how come you to this, well, secluded place? You don't look like military.
We're on a quest of sorts, to say the least. We've a message to deliver.
Message to the fort?
We are very.
The gate?
Yes, we are very well armed mailmen.
Oh.
Well, we're armed mailmen.
We're armed mail people.
Sufficient arms for a seemingly that thing. I'm Ashley March. I'm 3rd Scout of Lord Terran. We were on our way for Lord Terran's shift upon the wall, upon the gate.
Let's see.
Lord Terran isn't the prince, right?
No.
Yeah.
What was
I
that?
imagine Lord Terran was the general.
Imagine if Terran was the prince, she'd referred to him as
Did-
Prince Terran.
Did she say her name there? Did I miss that?
Ashley March.
Actually, March.
Okay, 3 people just said it at the same time. Is that like Ashlyn?
Ashley March.
Ashley
Thank
March.
you.
Ashley Martin.
Surprisingly normal name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I have
Those of you that have grown up here would be a little bit more accustomed to how the military is split up, so to speak. We've talked a little bit about this, but we can kind of be a little bit more explicit for a moment, which is to say that the towns are ruled almost democratically, quote, quote, where there are elected officials that are in charge of those places, generally known as mayors. That's kind of the most common title. There are other titles that are claimed. Each of the individual towns is kind of a free city, more or less, under the king. And so those elected officials serve the king. However, that's only probably 5 to 10% of the overall land of Olindia. Everything else is what is called country in the legally it's known as country, and that is bequeathed to a specific individual or a set of individuals, usually a household. Those lords control a military beneath themselves that is then under the command of the king. So when she says she's here's a rank of a lord, it means that she is in that lord's garrison, that lord's allotted number of people he can have who are armed individuals, and that they are there serving. He himself would be required to serve with his men wherever the king has demanded.
Okay.
It's rather infrequent that the nobles would serve, especially the older nobles would serve in a like actual combat role, more than they would probably select a commander. And it's not that they wouldn't fight, and they would certainly be present in any skirmishes, but that there's actually a real commander somewhere that is actually the one in charge.
Right. So he's headed. So this lord's headed up to the wall then.
Yes, to the gate. It's a change of the month and change of the season, so.
So just standard duty then.
Well, you know, everything's really standard duty at the moment, but
Why not at the moment?
the war. Well, I suppose the conflict is what you're supposed to call it. War is something that's declared, but right now it's just conflict. The king has expanded the garrisons of most of the lords, but also expanded the requirements, the duties. Normally we wouldn't come until later this month, perhaps even the next, but with him trying to remove as much as he can from this side of the border and move as many of the strong forces to the north, they called on us early.
So you're kind of the third stringers.
I suppose. I think we're kind of the lucky ones, though, because we're not going to the front. So,
what is the general opinion of the common soldier about the conflict?
War is never good, but it's not as if we brought this on ourselves. And I'm happy to defend my homeland.
Don't some of you, though, wish that the king would come to his senses?
Well, it's not much of a decision for the king to make.
Well, whoever makes the decisions. I'm not from these parts.
Well, the king would be the one that makes the decision, but without a garrison, then it's just an invitation for the armies to run us over.
I suppose.
The main queen doesn't see borders. She only sees her front, and she'll always try and push it. If we let our guard down, the front will move on us. Our lands will become hers. And it was only a matter of time before she tried again. I just wish that it wasn't during my time, perhaps, but I think most people do. So it might as well be.
Anyway, since it's late, I'd like to begin setting up what bits of sleeping equipment I have.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Tent, mat, all the works.
Morgan is see when to go and see if they're. He's gonna examine this thing. He wants to try and figure out its origins.
All right. Make an Arcana check. Yeah, an Arcana check.
Uh, 8.
Lord.
You know, it's cold. I got mauled today.
As far as origins, you're not really able to figure anything out. I mean, you're able to get a description of the parts of it that are remaining. It did have fur over most of its body, which is now stripped away. There was a few areas that did not have fur. Those were kind of the points at which its bones almost were protruding. It's in a roughly humanoid shape. You would know that it's not. It doesn't really appear natural to your learned eye, even with a check that low, that's not a particularly high DC to say that there's something uncanny about this thing. It isn't like a beast.
Okay, so it's clearly an outsider of some form, but it's not clear if it's like an aberrant or yeah. To me at least.
Yeah, to you at least.
Morgan will just stare at the corpse for a little bit. Then he'll kick the side of its head and just say, "That's for making me think about John," and head back to the group.
Anything anybody would like to do this evening?
I'm gonna cook some steak.
All right.
Yeah.
Dweeb? What? Where'd you find
I have meat hunk.
that? How long does that last?
The meat hunks are not raw. The meat hunks are
Yeah, they're not,
raw.
I'm really hoping they're not raw because I've already eaten both mine.
Is,
What?
I believe salted
You're
meat.
welcome to warm them up should you choose, but they are themselves not raw.
They are like on their last day, so
Oh,
that's why I'm eating them.
by the way, that all the bread that you had me carry is all expired at this point.
Oh, cool.
So I'm,
Stale bread.
I mean, okay, so per its description,
French
it lasts
French
3 days.
toast.
Although, eating stale bread is
Wait,
like
how many days does it last?
3 days.
3 days. Okay.
Is what you said.
Yes.
Can we make French toast with it now?
I mean, now would be the time.
I mean,
need
personally,
eggs,
personally, I think bread lasts longer than 3 days. But
Yeah, we'll probably
It says-
revisit that
says
one.
5
Yeah,
Yeah, fuck you, Chris.
It
is
says
it 5?
5.
I thought it said
Yeah.
3.
I thought it was 5 days, but
If it's 5 days, then it's still good. But I
We
think
could
it only counts as a half ration.
there are other
Yeah.
breads. I gotta find some way for you guys to spin your gold, dude. I can't. I won't apologize.
Fuck you and your bread rules, Chris. You suck.
Hey, I'm 3 days away from eating enough rations to not be overweight.
Not be overweight.
I'm gonna just eat.
If you want, I can eat one of your rations.
Sure,
All right, cool.
I give you some rations.
I'll eat one of his rations.
All right.
Swell.
Bread and cheese for the next 2 days.
Well, anyway, is there anything else anybody would like to do this evening?
I want to completely burn the Wendigo corpse.
Well, the the exterior of the corpse is very burned. Are you trying to light a bonfire around it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I want to like just make sure it's like gone.
Dead, not just sort of dead.
Yeah.
You light a fire, and it doesn't seem to react initially, but then fairly quickly, you can see it does reach a temperature at which it will ignite internally, and the remaining uncharred parts that are on the exterior, and it will begin to smolder, and slowly throughout the night, it is obliterated to ash. I will say it creates a awful stench.
Oh, joy.
Oh, thanks, Elrich.
Maybe not my best idea.
Is there anything in the pile that didn't burn? It was just a pure creature. It didn't have anything on it by chance.
It did not.
Okay, just making sure.
No loot drops for you.
None here.
None here. That's a fantastic point.
So here we are once again.
Yeah.
Who's up for a round of Gwent?
Pretty sure we can't call it that.
I would love to do that instead of talking about anything that happened today.
Liam, didn't you want to talk to Raknul? Did you say something about that?
Oh no, I think he fully well understands.
Understands.
Oh
what?
yeah,
Don't worry about it.
Oh,
All right.
Can I
okay.
get
No.
an insight check on Raknul to see if he understands anything?
You sure can.
Yeah, fucking go for it.
Not about this
hang on.
moment.
I'm gonna. Hang on.
Idiot.
No. I want to roll the deception check.
All right.
Get a roll too, though. Get a roll too.
Stand.
You guys really trying to.
Raknul's exhausted, but so his face is basically unreadable because it just looks like he's tired.
I think he understands that he's tired. I'll take it.
I get it. That. Yeah.
So-
Sam, thank you for the backup there.
Excuse me?
Back up. Oh, you mean on the fight?
Yeah, the part where I was eviscerated, and then not.
Yeah. Now, sorry if that felt a little more like torture than backup, because it was kind of up and down there for a few times.
I'll be
I
honest
feel-
with you, I wasn't in the state of mind to care too much, weirdly.
There's just something about a past life that makes me feel like it's not the most pleasant experience.
I actually have a few questions on it. Is there? Do you see anything when you're down?
Uh,
That's Liam.
I saw black, and then I
Say
woke
what?
up, and I saw red. So, I mean, take that how
And
you
you
will.
went back down again on spot black.
Then being eaten alive is a big fear of mine. On a scale from 1 to awful, how is the experience?
Have you ever gone
How would
back
you
home?
rate your vor?
Have you ever gone back home after being away for an extended period of time, and then talk with a family member, and metaphorically, it felt like having, I don't know, like a rasp being dragged across your scrotum?
No.
Totally unfamiliar experience.
What?
It's
Why
like
does this
that.
hurt?
He's saying it was very unpleasant.
All right. Well, I got that by the raspy scrotum, but
I feel like you could have just said.
all right.
Look,
I don't
a
know, I
review
like
isn't
the
a review
metaphor.
if you don't elaborate.
I like the metaphor, Morgan. Thank you.
Well, this is sufficiently awkward. Good night, everybody. And I go into the tent and go to sleep.
You guys setting a watch?
I'll take first watch.
I'll take second watch.
Well, I can take a
I'll
watch.
take-
I can take a watch, but you don't want me to.
I'll take a watch just because I don't actually need a rest.
Third and fourth.
Sure.
Seris would go last.
It's been 8 sessions.
There was a lot of ones there, so I'm just gonna say who's going first. You roll me a perception check, do you know?
Who's on first?
All right, it's me.
What's on second?
I don't know.
I don't know who's on third.
Oh my god.
Oh, glorious day. That's
Whew.
that's right.
As you friends begin to snore. Yeah, I can't really smell much because of the god awful smell around you.
Yeah.
You can't really see much because it's very dark. And you can't very much hear anything because there are several lawnmowers running around. However, aside from the kind of annoyance at effectively being a human alarm for not when something's about to go wrong, but when it has, your shift does pass uneventfully.
The only thing you notice is that this entire group needs to take a sleep apnea test.
Great
Give me a
success.
break. I frenzied.
Time
It's a known symptom.
Riona doesn't snore, she talks in her sleep.
It's a
like you.
genetic issue, guys. I can't help it.
Nope, she talks in her sleep.
Who's next?
All right, it's my go, I guess. Perception.
Hey,
22.
It is unnaturally stuffed. Whereas he couldn't notice anything because of all the noise. Despite of the noise, you notice there's nothing to be noticed, which is peculiar. You have grown up spending a lot of time in nature and around nature and in understanding nature, and this is unnervingly quiet. There are no insects. There are no birds. There are no small critters hunting. All that is here has fled and yet to return.
I'm about to say, yeah, the Wendigo isn't exactly a great house.
Guest.
Not really guest, more of a.
Not a good neighbor.
More of a good neighbor is probably the best way to put it.
Shitty roommate.
The coming of
Invader.
describes all things.
Oh dear.
But that is that is your watch.
Callie got a 13.
People who have no dark vision should be making these with disadvantage.
He's using his
has a bat.
familiar.
Oh, that's true.
Yes. Which is why I keep taking
I
watches.
wanted to confirm that we were clarifying that.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why I said Callie got a 13.
He did say
And,
that.
and I will say that does restrict what you see and the context you see.
Yes. I'm worried less about detail and more of big shape moving quickly at you.
Nothing in your general vicinity. How far out would you send her?
I'd probably have her doing like a 30-foot radius circle loop around me. So she'd be seeing like 90 feet out from my location.
All right, nothing particularly eventful. Near the end of your watch, she does see something kind of fly by, another thing and another thing. A set of bats, not unlike herself, kind of just flying past. Kind of just a first sign of life returning.
I can't wait for Callie to be attacked by a fucking owl one night.
Oh my god.
I'm going to be so distraught and terrified, and all of you are being.
You know it's really
And
good.
just screaming and come out.
Huh?
You know it's really good.
What?
That is actually on my table.
Oh my god.
Here's my thing. You're waiting for the owl. I'm waiting for the amorous bat suitor.
Yeah, see, this is why you pick familiars that are actual predators.
We'll put that on the list of things that can go on the roll table, like when other things have already occurred. All right, so next up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, I got a
Oh,
12. Awesome.
Oh, I thought I was going last.
Oh, I said I was gonna go.
She likes to do her
Whatever.
Like-
with the sun.
I like to be up at dawn, and my fourth watch coincides with that.
Okay.
What
And
do you see with your elf
it-
eyes?
It does and it doesn't, because as your watch passes, the sky does begin to brighten, but the sun does not rise. Not for hours beyond. You are deep within this crevasse, so to speak. You're really only at the very beginning of the opening out of the narrow part of the valley where it widens into kind of, you could see the entrance and you can see the light kind of as the sun rises over the distant mountains. Probably the first thing you would see of the sun is it kind of appears along the distant range. Like the stretch of your vision, you can see the mountains on the horizon. You can see the sunlight is hitting those mountains over there, but it is not hitting you yet.
Okay. I mean, still, she's gonna pray to the sunrise and get up and get everyone else up.
Oh, already. Oh dear.
And you all did not sleep well, we'll say. Nobody had anything that as you wake can be remembered, but it's kind of like, you had some uneasy dreams. You feel just generally anxious as you awaken. the feeling passes, but as each of you awakens for the first few minutes, feel pretty anxious about something, like almost like you just saw something. But now it's past.
You know, I still back my decision to destroy the corpse. Probably should have done that as we were leaving and not right before we went to sleep and made a literal nightmare fuel in the air. My bad, guys.
Yeah, probably.
I'll take the fall for that one.
Just think through
Though the
these.
stench, might have kept other things away last night.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, there's that.
Can anyone still taste it? I can still taste it.
Oh.
When did
No.
you put it in your mouth?
No, it's like, have you ever smelled something and you thought, I know what that tastes like, even if you've never tasted it?
Well,
Like the smell taste.
No, I don't believe I've ever thought of
also
the
knows what you taste.
It does also know what you taste like.
So you've tasted it. It's tasted you. Nice balance.
Now you're even.
I don't want to be. This is not good for me, man. It tastes like sweaty socks and dandruff.
So your
fire.
issue with this balance is that you have tasted it and not the other way around.
Yes.
That's what you're objecting.
It tastes bad.
I mean, he survived. He survived. Like him being tasted is done and gone. That's in the past. He's currently tasting it, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
That's
also,
right.
it's not a fair.
Morgan, I
it's
really
not a fair
appreciate
exchange.
the lovely imagery, and
Yeah, I'm gonna start packing
This
up the
morning.
camp.
but I would prefer that we not talk about such disgusting things in the morning.
It's a new day. Let's get a fresh start.
Liam, don't be such a prude. Let Morgan speak his mind.
I believe we're about to go walk up a hill to a massacred camp, so if you would like to start the day off a little less depressing, that would
No,
be
we're
fantastic.
walking to the non-massacred camp so we can tell them their other camp got massacred.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, by the way.
Misinterpretation.
Christ, she's right
Can
here.
we try to be?
Be a little
Pretend-
sensitive.
Can we try to
Both her
pretend?
friends
Like we
being
care?
dead.
Are you all now
Okay,
speaking
good.
of sensitivity? Is this what I'm hearing now after last night?
They're all
All right.
they're all dead. However we talk about it won't change that.
I maintain my indifference with Raknul.
Yes, Morgan, we know.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. How about we go this way a bit? I'm just gonna lead her off from everyone else and just do you need anything else before
I'm
we
gonna go join in with Riona.
Thank you, but I'm fine.
Okay, if you're sure.
Anyway, let's pack up the stuff and move along.
As you guys kind of come over the bridge, kind of progressing your journey forward, you see before you really the point at which this valley opens. You've kind of risen as you've been going through this valley, you've been kind of coming up, and now you kind of almost come up through this kind of chink that's cut down into the mountain range from a plateau that is this larger valley. And this valley kind of runs wide and slow up the slopes of the Empyrean Mountains. And the sharper hills, the sharper peaks are the ones that are the Quaddle Mountains, the ones that are more in a real world example, like the Sierra Nevadas. But all of them are kind of second in your mind from this one solitary peak that stands before you. The river seems to almost kind of run around it, and the path now is going to follow the fringe of it as well from what you can see. But right beyond the bridge, you can see there's a large stone door almost carved, probably 50 to 75 feet high, 30 feet across. And from it, there is a well-carved and stone-laden channel that runs to the river that you guys are on. The river that you have followed, once you got into the mountains, it wasn't really passable by boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it still isn't by any means here, but it is a constant flow of water, some structure of engineering coming out of the mountain. Have you all been this way before?
Oh no, this is perhaps the farthest I've ever been from home.
My partner, and she kind of glances back. He had been here a few times. And that's Rhalyra. It's one of the old dwarvish, well, not kingdoms, but settlements, I guess. It's nothing but dark now. It is a by the time we reach the next crossing, will be about an even day from the actual gate.
That's good.
All right.
And sorry, that wasn't her. That was me. So, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
It's about 2 hours, I'd say, until you reach the place at which they had made camp. It doesn't seem to be, as you approach, that it is a formal military encampment, and it's not even as well developed as the one you guys saw, like, destroyed. This is just, like, where they had set up. This is where they stopped for the night or stopped for the moment and kind of tried to reinforce it as best they could, but it is not like the one you saw where the Wendigo attacked, where it was, like, actually a developed looking campsite. That one had been, like, almost like where the ground had been cut and had been used many a time. Whereas this seems to be more improvised. And you see that you're quickly noticed by watchers. And there's kind of shouts that go out. And she lifts a small, like, horned instrument sort of thing. It's kind of a noise that you can barely hear. But there seems to be kind of recognition from them. And you're kind of confused as to how they were able to hear it from that great distance, but I don't think any of you have encountered such devices before.
Probably not.
To attempt to check if you like.
Yeah, I'll make a check on that. That sounds like a knowledge thing.
Yep. You
can,
choose your poison, and I'll let you know what you know.
I will make a nature check because that sounds like it'd be acoustics.
Mm-hmm. So not necessarily.
17.
All right, Bronwyn, you don't notice anything with your perception per se that would confuse you. That
was from the
instrument she blows. It does appear to be like a solid piece of like organic material, like a bone. It isn't bone. You're not sure exactly what it is, but whatever tone that it's emitting is one that was naturally. It's a natural tone. It's a creature's call. As she approaches, kind of stepping out in front of the rest of you, you can see there's kind of instant recognition on the scouts, like that are kind of on the perimeter. They seem to know what it means if she comes back alone. One of them pushes. You come alone. Well, alone in comparison to those you left with. Where's the rear company? I have not seen their end myself, but those that I travel with here have. They were set upon by a beast, as was this company, and as was myself. We are the survivors. He kind of scans you all. And where they paid well, rest. Laid quiet, Commander. She We have not. I have not visited the site myself yet. We were somewhat caught in the evening, and I felt it best to alert you and seek aid in laying them to proper rest. And he kind of nods. And those that you travel with, what is your business? Do you not appear to be men of the king or sword?
We're on a courier mission of sorts and got caught by the beast passing through the mountain. Passing through the
Future adventures, if you will.
By what agency?
Future.
Few couriers come to these parts. And you can see now that this man is speaking with kind of a little bit more authority than perhaps was expected by his dress. And as others are kind of gathering, he is continuing to be the one that's conversing with you, and the others seem to be deferring towards him. You don't seem to have the air of military couriers to me.
Well, that's because we're not military couriers.
It's a private message. We were told to deliver to a location.
And that location being here.
No, the
well,
gates of Kultainen.
And as she said, these are they slew the beast. They saved my life, and I've no doubt, should they have arrived even an hour earlier, would have saved our company in its entirety. I've seen them fight, and they fight well, and she kind of pauses. Act honorably. That was kind of said in a slightly different tone.
By volume, yes.
That's fair.
Very well, though. It's beyond me to harass.
I'm pretty sure the rest of you outweigh me for the moment.
Of a random nature. Your business may be your own, though I warn that it will not pass beyond the gate or within the gate without more clear explanation than what I've been given here.
No doubt. And
10 times.
So
What
we,
was that set upon you? What manner of creature?
one of our party identified the creature as a Wendigo.
Yes.
A large creature using mind tricks.
Oh, out of century and out of season, but I suppose the weather does agree with the legends.
And you know more than we did.
You must be mighty indeed to have faced such a thing. Withstood its possessions.
Let me tell you, I withstood a lot.
Seems to be kind of glancing over all of you once more.
Withstood may be a strong way of putting it.
Well, if you carry one message to the Gate of Kultainen, perhaps you will carry another. Our company is delayed. We must travel back and lay our fallen to rest.
And which company again, just so we can make sure we send the right message?
Absolutely.
And deliver it to who?
I'm Lord Terran. House Terran. These are my men in their entirety. And you can see there's probably something like 60 to 70 individuals across this whole encampment. A sizable number, but the ones slain, you can tell, would have comprised a meaningful percentage.
Yeah.
It's a harsh wound. It's not exactly like there's, a company of 1,000 men and 10 have died. It's
No, they just lost 40% of, or not 40, but 20% of their.
10 to 20%.
Yeah.
Have been decimated.
And while you don't know anything about them per se, you do understand the context. These are probably loved ones, people that they knew from birth, and Might we offer you any provisions in repayment of saving this soldier and slaying beast?
To be perfectly honest, we haven't lost any time. We were attacked as well. It just so happened that she was still alive by the time we got to her.
Well, unlucky chance for you, perhaps, but lucky for her. Did you lose any?
Oh, we suffered a few scrapes and bruises, but everyone's alive.
Nothing lasting.
No permanent damage.
You can say that after an encounter with the Wendigo.
We were very fortunate.
Morgan's gonna rub his bite marks a little bit.
Well, most of us were very fortunate. One of us was a.
I've experienced
One of us
life toy. It's a harsh life, but it's honest.
Well,
glad to have the sun shining down again upon us, and it gives a little like.
The day is early.
The
day is early, and our task is somber. So, if you will allow me, I must make the preparations.
Of course.
Of course.
Right. When you see the charred abomination corpse, you're halfway there.
No, he won't because it's just ash now.
No.
Who did you say we should deliver the message to?
Lord Terran. What was the company name?
He is.
He is.
He is Lord Terran. This is Company Terran, and we probably need to take it to just command.
There's not so you wouldn't see a company name. So like when it comes to like military divisions, you wouldn't see that outside of you'd kind of see it in two contexts. You'd see it amongst the Kingsmen, which is about 50% of the armed forces, so to speak, are the Kingsmen directly. They are serving commanders selected by the king for their role as a commander, and they serve that commander, then the king, like beforehand. But the other 50% serve these individual lords. So they aren't in a company perchance, they're just under him. It is his company. There's no name for it per se. Some might, but simply saying the company of Lord Terran is a description of Lord Terran and all his armed men.
Yeah. And we could probably just report this at the gates and be done with it, because these are schmucks.
And in a combined sense, they're probably part of the larger division that is the garrison of this gate.
Yeah.
Arrived or not. And you see he turns, we'll need probably, what do you think? 2 dozen? That'll make quick work. If we use horses, we should be able to get back and get a few more miles on the road and make our journey tomorrow a little easier. And you see he kind of drifts off into conversation with you.
I guess we should go ahead and press on then.
I guess I'll see you guys around.
Most likely.
Better circumstances.
You have a more universal name?
Undecided. We're still fairly new to each other, to be perfectly honest.
I thought we were going with the shepherds, personally.
I'll know you by your descriptions then.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that she returns to a group of like 4 specific individuals that look to be in kind of similar armament, who are kind of bombarding her with more specific questions.
As she walks off and we start on our way, I'm actually going to start the conversation. You know, I forget if we'd actually talked about it. I think the shepherds is actually a pretty good one. If people are going to start asking us, actually.
I mean, it has come up like twice now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we were saying it as a joke, but like, we need to start building our brand recognition. Like, we're missing out on PR.
That's a good point.
Like, Wendigo's shoe toy just doesn't have the same ring.
Well, one of us was.
Well, be accurate. No, he's right. It's not nearly as catchy.
I mean, you know, the Sun Shepherds is also a good one. But I mean, that might be a little heretical. I don't know.
Well, I mean, as paladins of Pelor, we do a lot of work with plants and flocks and things of that nature.
Sunburns.
Not to be that guy.
But
I'm
Not
not
quite
a-
enough of your burns, Seris.
Yeah, what was that last time? You just waved a torch at him. Seriously. What was in its mouth?
But as not all of us are paladins of the order, I don't think we should represent ourselves that way.
Not to be that guy. I respect and appreciate Pelor. I'm not a big fan of the sun.
Riona's going to take like 3 steps away from you.
Oh shit, party drama.
It doesn't really agree with my skin.
Yeah.
Have you seen Riona? She
But
is
doesn't it just
pale.
All right.
warm your bone?
Elrich probably is.
Nope. Actually, yeah, that's a fair point. You're probably sunburnt. She is still very extremely pale
Yeah. You just don't
after
tan.
all this travel. Still pale.
For my torchlight.
I mean, okay, so let's move away from the shepherd thing a bit though. Like
No.
what's a good alternative?
No, shepherds is fine. Let's maybe just not be the sun shepherds.
Right. No, I'm just I'm fielding the ideas here.
Sure.
How about Morgan Lindor in the book and no, you know what? I started this and I don't even want to commit to it.
The incidentals? I mean,
The incidentals.
I don't know.
Purposeful through.
I don't think that's kind of the brand that we want to have, though.
I don't feel like we need to name our entire group based off the relationship between Riona and Liam, though. That just seems a little weird.
Yeah.
Say what?
He said the incidentals, not the incestuals.
Relationship.
I mean, okay, Riona, so in some circles,
The longer this
There's
goes on, the absolute
assumption-
worse it gets.
in some circles, that sort of sexual relationship can be considered
Taboo?
taboo.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. Wait.
I mean, I guess you're technically not blood, so you can get away with it.
You two are a couple, right?
No. He's my brother, you freaks.
Yeah, no, we established that.
Well,
Yeah, we were just
that's
saying
hard
that's
to
weird.
feel. You two seem more close than siblings.
Are we like traveling while we're having this
Yes.
conversation?
Yes.
Raknul's
While we're
pulling like
talking.
20
We are
paces ahead of you.
specifically not talking about this around other people.
No,
Oh, yeah.
I get that, but I'm saying Raknul's probably pulling like 20 paces ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, what about
Seris is
okay,
gonna follow
if you
Raknul
feel like-
like walk next to him.
if you feel like we need to include you guys in the title, how about the Taboo Shepherds?
I actually really like that one.
Could we circle back to the incest though? Because
I would rather not.
As you continue, it does become pretty quickly apparent that you are on basically the side of this mountain, and this trail winds up almost like a consistent, like 5-6 degree slope, like a ramp around it. And while that is a pretty minor amount, it does kind of weigh on you, and it becomes clear as to why they had camped at the bottom of this thing when something went wrong, instead of trying to scale this in the final hours of the day before, and force those behind them to do so before catching up. And from this perch, you're able to look out over this great vale, the Vale of Valira, and it is very beautiful. It is basically a sea of green pine trees encircled in a crown of mountains. And along this place, you can see for the first time near the end of your, or not near the end, sorry, near the midpoint of the day, as you've come around the side of the mountain, you can look, you can see the first of 2 large peaks that are kind of on the, I guess, northern horizon from your perspective. And there's kind of a strange ribbon between them. But those peaks stand out as being different than all the others. They're somewhat smaller, but well distinguished. And about that point, the path kind of breaks away from its upward slope and towards the kind of this line of cliff that has been building below you as you climbed higher and higher. And you can see there's a bridge, not super narrow. It's about 10 feet wide. Looks to be of kind of rope and wood construction. And it kind of is longer than bridges you've encountered in the past. Probably a good 250, 300 feet long.
Ooh.
It's pretty remarkably large, and you can see across the other side where the path continues. And at that point, it winds back into the larger mountains.
How high up is it?
As you approach and you kind of look down over the cliff, it is it's been getting cliffier and cliffier as you climb. Of course, you've been building ground below you, but this is the first time where you really get a sheer 300-foot drop.
Oh, okay.
Down to the river below, and you can see.
All right, Elrich.
Stand at the edge of the cliff, and you can get a better.
Wait, how many?
The mountain, where it comes out of a series of cataracts, leading from a kind of narrow, very narrow, like V-shaped valley that cuts around between you and those new mountains you've seen.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna cross this bridge. I ain't afraid.
All right, stepping off the bridge. It's very sturdy.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to sway on your weight at all.
Oh boy.
They moved armies over this thing, guys. Come on, don't be childish.
Oh,
And I'll keep going.
Across it. Well, you're right behind you.
Yeah, I don't think they cross entire armies at once.
I'm alright. Someone's got to live on the legacy of the Taboo Shepherds.
I do like the Taboo Shepherds.
It's not bad.
I'm just trying that thing where if you like. I'm trying that thing where like you say like as you're introduced to a concept, you become like more and more like get more and more. So I'm just gonna keep saying it until everyone eventually just.
We are defending the taboo.
It does make it sound like you guys are on board with this. Also, there's no taboo to be on board with.
I much prefer sticking.
Well,
with
maybe not
Shepherd.
for you guys, but like for us, it's kind of fucking weird.
I prefer the simpler. I would prefer sticking with just shepherds. It's simpler to say.
It is simpler.
I like shepherd. I want shepherds in the title, but I want something to like. I want it to identify with.
All right,
you know, maybe if we.
Has Morgan gotten across? How long does
What
it take
about
for
the
Morgan
voice
to
of
get
the
Yeah, this is what I was trying to say, is that I don't know about what all of you are doing, but basically all of that audio is slowly fading out in the back of Raknul. As Raknul just kept going, right?
I'm making sure that Morgan gets across first, and then I'm crossing.
Well, Morgan seemed to stop and be talking about this.
At some point, I'm just yelling across.
I'm crossing. I don't give a shit.
Let's go. Come on.
And the center of this bridge has a view that is unlike any other you have ever seen, because you are dangling 300 feet above this stone sharp canyon, and on one side you look out and you see the sea of dark green pine trees, and on the other side you look out and you see two massive hunks of rock, almost like mountains made of single pieces of stone, and between them like a mountain that shines with the sunlight that has now risen behind you all, glitters almost as if made from, in some large part, steel. And you see these mountains almost are connected by some kind of gray stonework, a grand aqueduct, a grand wall, perhaps. It's so distant that it's hard to really make out the features of this thing. But from the center of the bridge, you're able to look over and see this very well. And as you cross, the bridge does not sway upon your weight in the slightest. Whatever means of its construction, it is beyond its appearance.
Sometimes a bridge is a bridge, yo.
Yeah.
And you cross safely to the other side. You can see the others are talking, but you can't hear them from over here. Their voice is just lost in the void, the wide open space.
Frustrated with this brick wall of conversation, she keeps hitting. Riona's going to go next.
Elrich's going to go right behind her.
Samuel will follow.
And as far as the physical world around you, it doesn't have like there's nothing happens, but it is like a breathtaking experience.
How you doing back there, Elrich?
I'm just focusing on the beautiful horizon. Focusing on the distance.
Well, that's a much better idea than focusing on how fucking far up we are.
Samuel, shut up.
When was it meant to be this high up?
Centuries later, high school girls would come here to take pictures in the evenings for their Facebook profile pictures.
Yes, ye old
fogey.
Yeah, their Snapstagrams. All right, now I have one other suggestion.
Okay.
Keep it with a personal identity. How about the shepherds?
I think Seris would enjoy that.
Shepherds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's on both ends, not just one.
So it's the shepherds.
Shepherds.
I don't think I can say this.
Shepherds.
Shepherds.
Yes.
How do we
clarify
brand that?
the pronunciation?
See, I like
How many S's?
pretentiously. Anytime someone says, "Oh, it's the shepherds," we can just pretentiously be like, "No, it's shepherds."
No.
Shepherds.
You can see the DM dying in the background.
As you go across, you do come to a place where, like, the cliff has been worked, has been quarried. It's been cut away, and there's flat, bare stone, covered in a thin layer of dirt that looks to have been, like, transplanted to this location. There are a number of campfires that are burnt out, pits, and places where tents are regularly pitched. You imagine this is the actual encampment. This is the actual partway point. And beyond it, the road bends out of this large valley and into a crevasse, a kind of narrow split that runs into the Velderreich, but the larger Empyrean Mountains. There's a small stream that runs along the very base of this narrow canyon. There are no rails. There are no barriers in place. It is steep enough. The trees that are normally there's a good amount of trees next to you, and they kind of block out most of the vision and kind of make it a little easier to travel along. But now the trees are so low because of the angle that you're only seeing the little tiny tops of the pine trees. And as you continue on upwards, you are soon above even where those grow. You are beyond the not necessarily the tree line from a growth perspective, but it is too steep for trees to grow there. And they probably see too little light, as you have no direct sunlight within this valley as well, at least not at the moment. As the day grows later and the hours pass by, you do start to get a little bit more sunlight. Once it's setting and it's coming from the west, it kind of shoots up the narrow split. And as you kind of come to the top of this place, like the end of the split, you can see that little creek runs up a series of waterfalls and comes out into a grand pool. Here you find another place where people regularly seem to camp. There's a cold, wide lake. seemingly nestled into this mountain place. It's larger than you would expect from afar as you approach. It's probably, I don't know, a few hundred feet long. Long enough to be undisputably a lake and not a pond.
Well, do you guys want to just break camp early here tonight? Nice little fishing spot. Eat good.
I don't have a problem with that.
Sure.
And I will say, it is cold, but you all are well prepared.
Yeah.
Due to your preparation, I don't think anybody doesn't have means of preparation for this, do they?
Pretty sure literally everyone has something to protect against the cold.
Yeah.
I've got multiple.
Liam buys stuff for you.
In this season, it's warm enough that with protection, there is no opportunity without, outside factors for you to be faced with exposure.
Does someone have a fishing pole?
All right. Oh, I do.
Baby.
I mean,
I have a fishing pole. And
I will cast guidance on. I will cast guidance on Liam as he casts fish.
Well, I mean, you can do that as you want, but it's going to be a lengthy process. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna go spearfishing, I guess. But that I
And
mean,
we're gonna catch a fish with our
javelin
hands.
fishing.
all right.
Ulrich's just gonna eat his bread as he watches them.
So,
I guess
you set
Morgan
up-
will.
We'll say, are you setting up camp first, or are you just stopping for a moment doing this?
Let's set up camp.
Let's set up camp.
Yeah,
We'll
set
set
up camp.
first.
All right. So,
Cold here.
what method of fishing are you using?
My bare hands.
Opens up binder.
Just
I have-
reaching into the water and grabbing a fish.
I
Mulan's
have a rod and tackle.
That's not really standard.
Up me.
Standard is net, but in this sense, in this sort of location, fishing is most commonly seen along the coast where it is a major part of sustenance. But obviously you're not going to go wading into this water with a net. This is more of a casting. And the nets are more for industrial fishing, I guess, would be the best way to say it.
Riona is gonna roll up her pants, wade into the water, and try to catch a fish with her hands.
Oh, we're going
All right.
noodling. Is that what we're doing?
What are you wearing?
It's cold.
You know what? That's a good point.
It's very cold.
Waded into the water already. So
What are you wearing?
you gotta take it when your players expose themselves to hypothermia. You gotta take it when you can get it.
I thought it was warm here.
Yeah, not that.
No.
You just said it was cold
Oh.
here.
Oh, he did.
Just said it was
fine
cold,
because
we
I'm wearing warm clothing that's dry.
Such a dumbass.
Well, we have to get those extreme condition rules in somehow.
Oh, those intelligence scores are really low.
Let's see. She'd probably not wade in with her chainmail on, because that would be dumb.
I would say she's not wading in very far with anything before. I'll say that because you're it's not super steep by the bank. It has this narrow drop in.
Yeah.
You put one toe in this thing, and it's probably exactly 34 degrees.
Ooh.
You see Riona run shrieking out of the lake.
It is very cold.
She's probably scared all the fish.
Yeah.
There is no reaction.
I'm gonna.
In this sort of place are not quick movers.
Oh, I imagine this is just being out west.
She's going to try to move to a different area of the lake, lean over and grab a fish.
So, all right, you go ahead and just give me a perception check.
Okay. Oh,
You don't see any fish. There are no fish dancing in the shallows. You don't know if there's fish deeper in, but here along the like wadeable bank, or it's certainly the grabbable location, there are no fish. There are some like little like newt sort of looking things. You can attempt to grab one of those should you choose.
I don't think she wants to eat a newt.
Liam.
Yeah, I'm gonna find myself a nice little stump or large rock to prop myself up on and start casting.
All right. Go ahead and make a wisdom. Or are you using live bait? What are you using bait wise?
I don't remember what it listed. I believe it's like lures. I can't remember what it said though.
Jig. So make a wisdom deception check.
A wisdom deception check. Unbelievable.
And roll a D100 too.
I did such a terrible job picking my skills. A wisdom deception.
I will shortly release the full list of like stuff for this. You can also do wisdom survival should you choose. It is an optional substitution.
So it's just a raw wisdom check, I think. Yeah.
If you're not proficient in perception, then yes.
Are you proficient in survival?
I am not.
Are you proficient in deception?
No.
That is a raw wisdom check.
It is done. 16.
All right. Did you roll a D100?
I did not, but I will. Boom. 83.
All right. You cast once out. Nothing to happen. This is an important stage of fishing in the fishing mini game that is known as getting a bite. It's based on wisdom. No matter what, it's always based on wisdom. It is a contested check. And I will say you spend about 5 minutes casting far out and reeling in, casting far out and reeling in. About 5 more minutes. I'd like everybody to know I just rolled 2 natural 20s in a row.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
All right.
You don't know if if it's not being seen, or if what it's being seen by is just too smart for it, or what. But time is drifting by.
Liam, do you mind if I give it a shot? You've been at it for a while.
I guess. I'll
give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
All right. You can make
straight wisdom and
performance check.
Women's performance check, so just wisdom.
Or sorry, wisdom deception or wisdom survival.
So just wisdom.
Wisdom survival is the standard. By using a jig, it opens the option to use deception. So you're deceiving the fish.
13. And
right, you kind of shake it about as you're pulling it in. Have you fished before?
Yes, actually, I fished a lot back home because it was mostly seafood.
All right. You kind of feel a small, kind of almost like bump in it. You think, oh, it's rocky because it's a smooth stone base of this basin, and you've bumped along the rocks a few times now.
Mm-hmm.
But then you feel a more distinct tug. And now we enter the setting the hook stage. Based on dexterity.
Oh no.
Immediately after
Very elaborate.
Immediately after getting a bite, you have the option to attempt to set the hook. If you wait, the fish will attempt again. However, I will tell you the fish will roll, then you will see the value of the fish's roll, and then you can choose to wait and look for another roll, or you can attempt it on that one. All right, does that make sense?
Okay, so what's the check for setting the hook? You cut out for me a bit.
It will be dexterity survival. You are using a rod, and they use dexterity perception.
Okay.
These
So it'll be
skills are real all over the place.
Yeah. Okay.
Haha.
I will try and set it.
Well, yeah, no, I haven't rolled yet. You don't. The roll is a 16. You feel a pretty hefty tug on it.
I will wait.
The roll is a 9.
I will go for it.
You feel a much stronger tug, and you immediately pull back the rod, attempt to set the hook. Go ahead and give me that check.
It's just going to be the same as a straight dex check, so 21.
21. You immediately pull back, and you feel struggling fish on the other end of the line, and you begin to attempt to reel it in. The fish is tethered. While it's tethered, it cannot move away from the source of its tether. As an action on each of their turns, it will. You can attempt to make a strength athletic check to pull the fish in. It's opposed by a strength check from the fish. If the player succeeds 3 times, the fish is caught. If the fish succeeds 3 times, it escapes.
All right, I will try and contest it. So, first one, 19.
All right, you're pulling it in, and you are gaining a lot of line. I'll say it doesn't really have like a reel per se. It's more like you kind of are pulling string, I guess. I don't know. How do they do this in the olden days? Should probably done research for this.
You're telling me this elaborate fishing game
was done without research?
Well, what's a standard rod? Because you have to have some way to reel it in, right?
I feel like you just pull back. You just walk it back.
Keep walking back.
Okay, all right.
Fly rod.
You in the fight back. It isn't a super strong fish. You can tell that.
I will give it another shot because I'm waiting to see. 6. I'm waiting to see Morgan lose to this fish.
And you feel the line stop coming for a second, and it's really tightly resisted. And you imagine that the fish must have tangled it in something along the base of the ground. It's 1 success for the fish.
Come here, you bastard. 5.
I want it known. We are listening to real big fishes take on me right now.
It still does not seem to have any pull to it at all. It's just hopelessly seems to be bound.
One more time. 18.
Stronger than a fish.
Is he?
With that, you feel the line does give, and the fish begins to come in once more. You're able to kind of back up. You realize it's off whatever was holding it.
It all comes down to this.
It all comes down to this.
19.
And you kind of back up, and you feel it almost like loosen a little bit as the fish is kind of getting close to the surface and like almost getting wary. And you're able to pull it once more, and a large, probably like pound-sized, pretty plain fish kind of flops out of the water and lands on the side of the thing. It's pretty hefty fish. It's got 2 little kind of narrow eyes. You've not seen such a thing before, and it kind of flops a pretty fatty tail against the ground as it just pulled out of the water.
I will pull it up, and I will take out my knife or my dagger, and I'll just whack it on the side of the head.
All right, go ahead and roll damage, I'll say.
I mean, it's a dagger, so it's not great. 4 piercing.
Sorry, roll an attack is what I meant to say.
Oh, 19.
Yeah, I'll say that you're able to
just drubbing the fish, basically.
Yep.
And I will take it back to the party.
Well, if he takes the fish back, I'm gonna grab the pole and I'm gonna try again.
All right. Go ahead.
I can't be ousted by this.
I won't be outdone by Morgan of all people. This cannot happen.
I'm gonna go spear hunting around the area. This fishing thing looks like it takes a lot of effort, and I've got javelins instead.
Go ahead and roll a D100 for me, Rain.
Alrighty. It's at 35.
All right. I will say, go ahead and just give me a survival check.
All right. 18.
So, as is the way with the fishing game, everyone shares a collection of fish they've caught, and we're not playing the same game for the same fish. So we'll say that with that check, you are able to successfully wrangle in a similar fish in a similar amount of time.
Beautiful. How much time has passed? Like, where are we at?
Probably total, like maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep going until it's like sort of towards the end of the day, supper time.
Go ahead and I'll say, just go ahead and give me some more. Give me like one more wisdom check.
One more wisdom. All right.
Come on, natural 20. I'm a god.
All right. You are able to.
You're a cleric to a god.
Oh, sorry. I meant to say survival, but no difference anyway.
It's the same.
I'll say that you were able to catch a pretty hefty number of fish. You're able to figure out where they're hanging out, how to jerk the lure in the proper way to attract them. You're able to catch 6 or 7 fish.
Awesome.
Raknul.
Yeah.
Make a perception check for me.
All right. Wait. Okay. Yeah. I'm not rolling with disadvantage anymore.
You're gonna spot the no fishing sign.
I accidentally rolled that to you only, but it's an 11 for those unaware.
I'll say you are able to see fish, but they're pretty far out there.
Well, I'm not spear fishing. What's it? I have my wanderer feet. I'm just walking around.
Oh, okay. You're like, look, you're hunting.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. There's not a lot of small game here. There's only a very small number of trees that are just kind of gathered along the fringes. It's pretty barren, pretty rocky.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, you are able to find some small little critters hanging about, and you can find a collection of hardy herbs and some that have pretty thick stalks almost, that when you kind of break them open and peel away the hard outer layer, there's an edible part within. You're familiar with these things.
Cool. Found green onions and shit. All right. Good enough.
All right.
I'm gonna take the fish back to Sam. Sam. Oh, Jimmy's.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Do you know how to cook this? And I'll just hold up the 2.5 pound fucking fish.
Yeah, I spent a fair chunk of my life at sea. I could cook fish.
Split it with you in the rations if you cook it.
Sounds good.
Everyone in the group is apparently good fishers. We could be the real heroes. But with the spell.
Yeah. No, I call her going for.
Give you a look.
No, could you explain that one to me, Will? I don't quite get it.
All right. So real as in like actual, but also real as in a fishing reel. So.
Oh my god!
How will you spell the thing then? Because do we want to go with the actual one or do we want to go with the fishing one? Because I think there's a choice to be made here.
That's right. How are we going to spell it in all official documents?
Oh, nice.
All having fun as our first foot forward, so it can be firmly planted in our mouths right afterwards.
Okay. Ryan, can you give me one more D100 roll?
Absolutely.
Just because.
If it's anything aside from 100 or so.
37. That's a dramatic difference. It's all two difference.
Nope. Your whole fishing session pretty much is just those same large, fatty fish you're not familiar with.
All right. I guess when I'm done, I'll haul my catch back and begin roasting some fishes, presuming that they've created a fire back at camp.
I would have created a fire because I got cold. You come back and you see Riona, like her feet are like up against the fire, like she's trying to warm them up, but she's also like got her arms like this and she's like snuggling her invisible friend. And
Riona, did you get in the water?
Maybe a little. And
have we learned something today?
I learned something every day.
Water cold.
What did we learn? Said the paladin with -2 intelligence.
Hey.
Please tell me I forgot.
Or like that.
Hey. Let's
Sorry, Dad.
It's a 0.
It's
No,
it's perfectly reasonable to say not getting naked and going into the nearly freezing water is more of a wisdom thing than an intelligence thing.
True.
Riona's gonna turn back to her invisible friend and start talking exclusively to him in little pet speak. But it probably sounds, at least to my mind, I don't know about you, Chris, but it sounds to me like gargling rocks.
Gargling rocks seems like a very specific noise.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like gargling rocks.
It's not
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate for us real quick?
Oh, it's undercommon.
You ever shake a bag of marbles?
It doesn't. Gargling rocks is probably not the right word for common sounds, but that might be the tone you take with it.
I think undercommon. That's what I went with.
Yeah, I think undercommon sounds like unreasonably aggressive Tibetan throat singing.
Oh, but that's what you hear.
It's the only
All right.
way.
It sounds like all right. We'll say more of an official statement. It sounds like slowly spoken German.
Okay.
So gargling rocks.
Yep.
How dare you.
Chris?
German is a beautiful language with a
What,
rich history.
We apologize to all of our German listeners.
I cannot hear Jimmy at all. What, Jay?
What fishing equipment do you have rules for?
What?
What fishing equipment do you have rules set up for?
I have a collection of fishing equipment rules.
Would you say you have rules set up for me wild shaping into a worm and then trying to unwild shaping nab a fish as it comes up?
Oh my gosh. You just
please let him try it. Please let him try it.
We'll consult. We'll agree. We'll have a powwow about that. We'll come to a consensus on a good set of rules for that.
I feel like it's going to depend on whether or not the fish swallows you whole. Because
I imagine that it will probably play out where you are first the thing that is trying to be caught, and then reverse it.
And then that's when Samuel pulls out the no you or the Uno reverse card.
In any case, the night has come. The stars are out once more, and they're very clear from this height. But also clear is that out through this narrow gap and through this valley, you could just see like those 3 mountains. You've come around the side of the Imperium Mountains far enough over that they're directly west of you, and the 3 are almost in line. And you can see there are bright lights on the center. The shining part that was shining before is there are several lights on it.
So, probably going to be there tomorrow. Have we made any decision about what we're going to do when we get back to White Sinks? I mean, besides get paid.
I mean,
I feel like we have at least a decent push towards actually getting licensed.
I would say that is the primary objective after this, is becoming licensed adventurers.
Right.
It would certainly help us get new jobs.
I mean, as much as I like just walking around getting, money randomly from stuff, I think that jobs have a sense of security. Yeah.
It will certainly make the questions from military folks and the like a lot less pressure inducing.
Speaking of military types and impending violence, yo, Raknul, what the fuck was that about?
What was what about?
Giving that woman a shave, but shaving off like years of her life with a sword to her face.
Very aggressive towards her.
Majority of us were under a trance, and she was bait. And she can't be bait if she's dead.
But you seem to enjoy it a little more than the rest of us.
See where you're coming from. Just want to clarify. What if one of us are bait?
One sacrifice to guarantee the lives of everyone else. It's the same trade.
I like your answer in theory.
I'm not quite sure you've thought this through, though, all the way. There's absolutely no guarantee that...
But it improves...
Killing her.
It improves the chances of survival. Much more than just sitting there and being stuck in that trance.
Except you were no longer stuck in the trance, I'm
Yes,
assuming.
but the rest of you were.
And there was a giant creature attacking half the group.
Attacking one person who was soloed out. Because the rest of us were stuck in that trance.
Well,
would Morgan know...
her being bait was relatively safe for us then.
So, Chris, would Morgan know that even if the woman was dead, that the charm effect would still go on?
Make an arcana check.
Okay. Because I see where Raknul's coming from, but I don't want to. 16.
Bitch, I'm not a wizard.
You have no idea.
I know.
You have no idea.
You
have no idea in the least.
Yeah, I figured. Here's the thing, Raknul. I understand you were trying to help, but we had no idea if the effect would have continued on after she was unconscious. We don't even know if she was the source of it or if she was just the subject of it. In instances like that, I understand you were trying to help, but it's so variable that you're more useful to our chances of survival by attacking the big scary thing, because I can't deal with that.
If everyone else hadn't broken out of that trance, you would have died, and then I would be next.
Yes.
So then should I leave everybody else stuck?
Because it wouldn't have guaranteed anything. We don't know. There's too many variables there. And it alienates a potential resource later. I had already eliminated, though I did not communicate it to you, so that's my fault, that she was actively party of it. That's what the first spell I threw out was for. To get her to run away if she was participatory bait. So I feel it was not necessarily a risk that was as beneficial to all of us. You worked with the best information that you had, but I don't think it was the best choice. And that's partly my fault. You know what? Just do what you need to, buddy.
Why does it need to be so complex?
Because magic is dumb. What up?
Camera is like way pointed.
I know. Magic is very dumb and inconsistent. I mean, for God's sake, I throw a drop of water and suddenly you're better at hitting things. And the mathematics make sense.
What I'm hearing is, you don't understand what was happening, either. So as long as you don't understand what's going on, and I don't understand what's going on, I can only do the best with what I do know.
Yes, and I agree with you.
She was being used as bait to hold us there. We were all compelled, or at least I felt compelled to move to protect her, to keep her alive. Once I felt no longer compelled,
Was that the
I
exact?
attempted to remove her from complicating the encounter.
Ryan, in answer to your question, there was no exact terminology. It was not like
Yeah.
a fish.
My understanding was that we were just drawn towards her.
Carefully
There was no
spelled
I thought, oh no,
specific-
You were-
okay, wait.
no,
I
you
thought-
were
I thought
drawn-
we were drawn to her and felt the need to protect her.
Yes, so you
Or
were
save,
drawn,
or just
not,
like
not
save her.
protect. So specifically, you were drawn towards her to help.
Yes.
her.
Sorry. I've misinterpreted.
So
My bad.
whatever context that meant, whatever feeling that meant, it certainly felt like one interpretation of that is definitely keep her alive. It definitely felt linked to her and not just like run towards this spot. The effect was run towards this spot mechanically, but the actual description was that you were compelled to run to her and help.
Well, I think we all understand why you made the decision that you did. However, I would like to throw out my 2 cents in that for future reference. I would much prefer if that is a absolute last resort in harming anyone, in harming innocent bystanders.
Anyone who is not an active physical threat, I think is.
Morgan, you were about to be killed, and Samuel had isolated himself, and he was next.
Yes, I was about to be killed. Not by the chained up woman.
But if we couldn't move sooner,
Raknul, what we're saying is we would rather be killed by that thing, or at least I would. I would rather let that thing kill me than have to kill a chained up woman to save myself.
I think you should speak for yourself.
I can't tell if you're being quiet because mood, but we can't hear you.
Oh. I said I think you should speak for yourself.
I am speaking for myself here. Part of the conversation.
I understand.
If you and Raknul, that you want,
then we'd all be dead,
that
and
you're
these
put-
morals would mean nothing.
And we,
that was your thoughts on it. I'm saying, for my sake, in the future, if you're coming with a decision of kill an innocent person to save Samuel, don't do it.
I agree with Samuel's sentiments on this one, and I would imagine Riona does as well.
I'm not gonna sit here and lecture you about whether or not you're in a situation where you have to kill an innocent person. That's everyone's choice to make. That's their own decision. But mine is, I would not have been able to feel like this is a victory and been able to sleep tonight if that woman's head had come off just for us to beat that thing.
I'm going to tell you, Raknul, if you have to choose between killing an innocent person to save me, kill the innocent person.
I've done
I
more
would do
so
the same.
before.
I would do the same for you.
At some point, the rest of you will learn you can't save everyone.
You can. We're not arguing that you can save everyone. There's a difference between not saving someone and actively killing them.
Or at least having it be your first response.
It wasn't my first choice. But at the moment, I felt it was necessary.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a little more on Raknul's side. I'm not upset that you thought it was the right call. I'm saying that I disagree with the call. I get why you.
I will still take some of the onus on this one for not having actively said to the group that even though I have no idea if Raknul's plan would have worked, I should have communicated that she was not an active threat. That may have changed his opinion. I don't know.
I mean, she wasn't a threat. She wasn't attacking any of us.
Well, I mean, she was afterwards, but not very effectively.
She was unarmed.
Okay, I think the lesson that we need to take from this is, I guess, a little bit more active communication on my part for when I try something fucky, and I guess we'll just go with that. Whatever anybody else draws from this, do they draw from it? I'm not gonna... It is still a bit fucked up, but I get your reasoning now. So thank you for explaining.
I see where he's coming from. Not all of us have any knowledge of the arcane, such as you three.
Technically, I'm divine.
Well, magic is a complicated thing, and someone like myself may not know the difference. But I think his reaction was reasonable given his knowledge.
I don't think it was unreasonable. I just don't know if it would work.
It's not that it was unreasonable. I feel like it was wrong. The difference. And more importantly, like I said, you can be wrong and have good reasoning behind your choice. I'm not saying that he's an insane threat that needs to be taken down because he did this. I'm not saying it's a completely oh my god, why would Raknul ever consider this? I'm saying please don't. Especially you can if it's for yourself, you can if it's for your own sake. That's your decision to make. But I'm throwing out there that that's not. I don't want my life to come at the cost of others. And that's not a life I'm going to want to continue to live if it has to come to that.
Sam, I appreciate that, but I mean, if my first spell had failed, I would have magic missiled that bitch to death. No question.
Well, I feel like there's a difference.
I would have. Yeah.
And I would be having the same conversation with you then.
Okay.
This is not a line I'm willing to cross for any of y'all, and it's not a line I want to cross for me. I'm not going to stop you from crossing it for yourselves. But I'll be clear that line is there.
I'm just saying that part of the reason we're casting, I feel it's unfair to put morality into this, even though I understand where you're coming from, is we had the benefit of having some indicator that she wasn't party to it. What I'm saying, and partly it's the same argument that Raknul did, is if I didn't know that, I would have acted in an aggressive manner because that's the best chance for survival. That's not right, but it's still the best and smart choice. The only reason I get to, I guess, be a hypocrite is that I had an instance where I had more knowledge than him. It's not fair.
I'm saying
Nobody's
saying
talking
the
about
distinction-
smart choices.
I'm saying the distinction between that is not an important one. Attacking someone you don't know to be harmful is not much better than attacking someone you know to not be harmful. I'll give you it's a bit of a gradient, but I don't find that a particularly meaningful distinction.
Well, I'm suddenly less hungry, so
Did we not finish eating before we had that conversation?
Oh my goodness.
no, we were having that at dinner, baby.
Oh no, then
Oh,
while the
we
rest of you,
stopped.
while you and Sammy were talking about that, I'm finishing eating. I don't give a fuck.
I'll awkwardly finish eating, and I'll just sort of go back to the tent.
All right. Anybody have anything else they'd like to do this evening?
I don't think so.
Nah.
Just taking mental notes of who's going to get bonuses and healing later.
I will say.
Am I one of the good ones?
I will say that short game tonight because of reason. But we will go ahead and actually, I think, call it there and rejoin you all in the morning in the final approach to the gate and the events beyond. Before I forget, because I want to start doing this as part of the game, let's all roll a d. Well, not me, and not Ian, but everyone else roll a d20 in Roll20 to determine who will be doing our recap.
Oh, it's... Saved by the neck.
Yeah.
That's looking like a, a lot of low rolls tonight.
Oh.
Most of the rolls was Nick, so Nick will provide our recap next week. I thank you all for joining us. It was a good game. I felt like a little bit quieter and a little bit more character centric, but it's all different flavors and different episodes and stuff. And there was a very intense game last time, so I thought it was good to have a nice, relaxing time. Hopefully, everybody else enjoyed it as well. You can catch us
Monday at 8:15.
At 8:15. I'm sick. I apologize. At 8:15 or anytime on YouTube. We're going to start trying to standardize those release schedules. But there's something else. What am I always forget, dude? What?
Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and follow us on our socials.
Ko-Fi,
Comments.
Buy Us Coffee, Patreon, Firstborn Child.
Probably
Premium
60 to 70% of those things don't exist, but what you can do is you can like, subscribe, comment, show up in the game when we stream, and ask us your questions at the break. And most importantly, tune in next week. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful night.